Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator, and I'm back with another installment of my Whack An Atheist streams. So if you haven't seen the other videos, I made a playlist that has all of my Whack An Atheist streams in chronological order from 1 to, I think this is episode like 23. I haven't been numbering them lately, but today we're going to be taking a look at Kent Hovind's response to a video from the Big Think channel from one of the four horsemen of atheism, Daniel Dennett. I believe he's one of the four horsemen. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, and before I start, I want to say that I reached 1 million total channel views. So that's awesome. Thank you so much to everybody who watches my videos. And uh, yeah, it's just a great milestone. Apparently it happened like a week ago and I didn't even realize it, but I checked my analytics today and it had this. So thank you so much to the people who watch my channel. I literally could not have done it without you. But all right, let's get started.
Where we get our SpongeBob and the hammer. Where we go, hammer. Oh yeah, we're going to use real science to try to knock some sense into you guys who believe you came from a rock. We're here to help. Relax. It's a game like whack-a-mole. Nobody's hurt. No atheists are hurt. Okay, and we're trying to wake you up before it is too late. That's all. 81 years old, Daniel Dennett said, the evidence for evolution pours in, not only from geology, paleontology, biogeography, and anatomy, but of course from molecular biology and every other branch of the life sciences. Daniel, you are
That is true.
certifiably insane. There is no evidence for evolution. None at all. I challenge you to have a full-time debate anytime. You pick the time. Evidence pours in, right? Daniel Dennett, born 1942, an American philosopher, a writer and cognitive scientist whose research centers on the philosophy of mind, philosophy of science, and philosophy of biology. University professor at Tufts University, he directs the Center for Cognitive Study. He encourages people to do the right thing rather than worrying about it. Well, Daniel, if evolution is true, how do you tell the right thing? Bible says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy. He's a teacher of philosophy. Phileo means love of. Sophie means man's wisdom. The love of man's wisdom, yeah. I've asked atheists all over the world, simple question. If evolution is true, how do you tell right from wrong? Where's your measuring stick?
It's a non sequitur question. If evolution is true, how do you tell right from wrong? Well, if atomic theory is true, how do you tell right from wrong? If stellar evolution is true, how do you tell right from wrong? Like, it doesn't make sense based on the wording of the question.
How do you tell right from wrong? We've got a whole Bureau of Standards in Washington, D.C. to keep track of the official quart, the official gallon, the official inch. You got to guard it, okay? The weights and measures, you got to have it, okay? Simple question. If you had a peaceful neighbor who simply hung out with friends all day and spent all his time working in his own yard, would it be wrong to violently steal that neighbor's baby and kill it and eat it?
Obviously, yes, because that would be murder, cannibalism, I guess theft, and it's just obviously that's wrong.
Daniel, would that be wrong? The lions do it every day.
No, they don't, because you obviously framed the question as if we're talking about humans. Because lions don't have neighbors. They don't understand the concept of neighbors. That's a human construct. So you dishonestly framed the question in a way that everybody would think of it as humans living on a street where I walk over to my neighbor's yard and steal and cannibalize their infant child. And then you switch to saying, well, lions do this every day. No, they don't. Lions are a wild animal. They live in nature. They have to eat to survive. Humans have farms and agriculture. And for the most part, we don't have to do that. There's a lot of people who do go hungry, but in the example you gave, if you have people living, let's say, in a suburb, those people don't have to hunt for their food, obviously. So it's dishonest to frame this one way and then switch it around. You're moving the goalposts.
Don't they? Steal the neighbor's baby and eat it. Daniel Dennett, Darwin's dangerous idea. Grandmother fish. He writes books for children to be taught evolution. Oh, your grandma was a fish. Yeah. Breaking the spell. Science and religion. Consciousness explained. The one thing that I think is really dangerous in many religions is it gives people a gold-plated excuse to stop thinking. That's what evolution does, Daniel. You have stopped thinking.
Have I seen that Eric is taking after his daddy? Kent is whacking off atheists, and now his son Eric Hovind is traveling America blowing atheists. No wonder the Hovinds are on Grindr. No, I'm not familiar with that. I don't really follow Eric Hovind. That's if you want videos about Eric Hovind, I suggest you go to Paulogia's channel.
You believe you came from a rock and it's all settled. There's simply no polite way to tell people they've dedicated their lives to an illusion. Well, Daniel, that's you, okay? And I'm going to try politely to tell you, you've devoted your life to an illusion.
No, you're not. We all know that you make no attempt to be polite, Kent.
Those who fear the facts will forever try to discredit the fact finders. Yep. And you and all you atheists fear the facts, don't you? The fact is, this hammer had to have a designer. There's no way this piece of paper laminated with text on it had to have a designer. And the human body is 1 trillion times more complicated than that. There's a designer. That's the facts, okay?
How does it being more complicated indicate that it has a designer? You haven't substantiated that claim.
The kindly God, who lovingly fashioned each and every one of us and sprinkled the sky with shining stars for our delight, that God is, like Santa Claus, a myth of childhood. Not anything a sane, undiluted adult would literally believe in. That God must either be turned into a symbol for something less concrete or abandoned altogether.
I agree. I agree with all of that.
That's what he thinks now. He's 81. You don't have much time, Daniel. You better make sure you want to face God with that.
So your counter argument to all of the things he said in that quote is just, you'll see when we're both dead. When you're dead, you'll see I was right. Hovind.
I think many people are terribly afraid
Shanty Claus. Shanty Hovind.
of being demoted by the Darwinian scheme from the role of authors and creators in their own right into being just places where things happen in the universe.
I think that this is partially correct. I think that while this is true, the biggest reason that so many people have such a violent negative reaction towards evolution is the idea that we're related to monkeys. I ain't came from no monkey. I ain't came from no Hovind.
Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy. He said religions have depended on the relative isolation and ignorance of their flocks forever. And this is all breaking down.
This is true. The earliest preachers, when the Bible was first written and it was in a complete state or a mostly complete state, when you had religious authority figures reading to the congregation, those people were not literate. So technically, those preachers could have told them that the Bible said anything they wanted to. And that's one way that you keep yourself in power and keep the proletariat out of power is you control education, you control the rate of literacy, and you control access to information. So this is absolutely true.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I did see yesterday's comments on comments video where Kent was talking about Chris Jones. I saw that.
Yeah. Everybody's now getting smart enough to believe there's no God, aren't they, Daniel? Yeah. The fool.
Not everyone, not yet, but we're working on it.
Said, hath no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. Seest thou man wise in his own conceit? I saw one a minute ago with your picture, Daniel. There's more hope of a fool than of him, Solomon said. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool. He did a short video on the origin of genius, how human consciousness evolved. Humans weren't made by intelligent design. We evolved into intelligent designers, capital D. Well, so we get to be God.
Kent, every first letter of each word is capitalized in this title. They're all capitalized. Every word is capitalized here. So it's not special because designers is capitalized. Everything is.
God. Isn't that the same lie Satan used with Eve in the Garden of Eden? Eve, do what I say, honey, and you get to be God. Oh, yeah. Same lie. Bible says, the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all unrighteousness. We're talking about Daniel's video here for a second. Let's see right here. See if I got the audio right.
In an entirely natural world without any supernatural mysteries, you can explain the mind, the human mind, consciousness. It's been my project for 50 years. And what I've come to realize is that the only way to do it right is you have to take evolution a lot more seriously.
Okay, Daniel, I'd like you to define exactly what you mean by evolution, because I cover very clearly there are 6 different levels or meanings or stages of that word. Cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space, matter from nothing. You made to take that seriously? Chemical evolution, organic evolution, macroevolution, all those kind of things. Number 6, variation within the same kind. That I take seriously. There's a lot of variations. We now have 167 varieties of ducks. Probably had a common ancestor, a frog. Now, you guys put them on a chart with all of them connected with lines to a common ancestor. The ducks had a common ancestor, Daniel, and that's as far as it goes. Take evolution seriously. What exactly do you mean by that?
So the ducks aren't related to other birds? Is that what you're saying? Each bird is its own sort of tree? Or how far does this go? Is the cutoff point individual species, and individual species are not related to each other? So, like, are all mammals not related to each other? What about flightless birds and birds that can fly? And notice how he always says, oh, they might have had a common ancestor. He never says they did have a common ancestor, because he can't even take a stance on that claim. He doesn't want to be held accountable for anything he says.
Okay.
And really look hard at the question of how evolution could have gotten these wonderful projects up and running.
You're asking the wrong question. Come on, you're a philosopher. How did evolution do it? Doesn't that have a built-in assumption in the question that evolution did it? Why don't you instead ask the question, did evolution do it?
It's not an assumption, because there's evidence for it.
It's like me asking the question, why are elephants orange? Come on, tell me. Why are elephants orange? They're not orange. What do you mean? How evolution could have gotten these projects up and running? No. Did evolution do it? And the answer is no. You're stopped right there. But you want to bypass that because it's embarrassing, because there's no evidence for evolution. None. Sorry. Okay.
That have now led to people like you and me and all the great artistic geniuses and scientific geniuses, the real intelligent designers that now inhabit the planet, instead of the imaginary intelligent designer who never existed.
Can you imagine facing God and having to answer for that?
I thought imagining things was bad. I thought imagination was a negative thing, Kent.
I don't know how to help you, Daniel, but I'm going to try. I may not be able to help you, but I'm going to help some of the people who are dumb enough to follow your teaching. Okay?
Nice counter argument.
For millennia, people had it in mind that all the wonderful things they saw in the world, all the beautiful design of the animals and plants and living things, must be due to a fabulously intelligent designer.
So for thousands of years, people believed that, and now you come along and you're smarter than everybody that ever lived. Whoa, yes, sir, Massa. Don't beat me, Massa. Please, don't be good. Okay, let's go.
Kent, why are you doing this super racist like impression of the character from Roots? It's really weird and inappropriate. Like, why would you do that?
Here.
Oh, because you're a racist. He's a racist. Guys, we figured it out. We got it.
Creator. And so it was until Darwin came along and turned that upside down and realized that in principle there could be a process with no.
Sorry, but and he wasn't saying that he's smarter than everybody who ever lived, but obviously modern humans have a higher intelligence than people who lived during the Bronze Age, because we have huge advances in science and technology. That's why we have longer lifespans. Advances in medicine, advances in literacy. We're much more literate than we were hundreds of years in the past, or thousands. Obviously, that's true. But he's not saying that he singularly is smarter than everyone that came before him. But that's the way that you act, Kent. You act like you're the smartest person in the room all the time.
Intelligence, no comprehension, no foresight, no purpose, that would just inexorably grind out algorithmically better and better and better designs of all sorts.
Better and better designs. Now, doesn't that kind of imply a designer? Yeah. And no purpose. So evolution is going to grind out these better designs for no reason. Yeah, all happened by over billions of years. Can't believe people paid to have you teach that junk to people. Okay, let's see. Right here.
Could say the same thing about you, Kent.
And create the living world where there had been just lifeless matter before.
So it came from lifeless matter to living creatures. Daniel, would you please explain scientifically, show me the scientific evidence how that happened? We can't even make that happen in the laboratory. And yet you think it happened by chance. But nobody made it happen. Oh, I see.
That doesn't mean that it didn't happen in nature over the course of history. Just because we can't replicate something in a lab doesn't mean it never happened.
And this was a shocking idea to many people. Even to Darwin, in some regards, it was shocking. But he was right.
No, he was not. You just making that statement does not make it true. Darwin was wrong, and you are wrong. You just say, well, he was right. And go on from, no, don't go on from there. Stop. Darwin was wrong, dead wrong.
I was dead wrong. He was dead, Hovind.
He had the essentials right, and now, 150 years later, there's just no question about it.
I have a question about it. I don't believe it at all. And most Americans don't believe it at all. Most people with a brain don't believe that dumb religion. So in your mind, he was right. There's no question about it. Your students face this kind of stuff from you and say, well, teacher believes it, so it must be true. This is brainwashing 101 is what it is. You should know that. You're a philosopher. You're brainwashing your students. That's not education.
I would actually sort of agree that it's not, I don't know if it's appropriate to say that there's no question that Darwin was right, because a lot of people do have questions and doubts about it, which is a problem with science education, especially in America. It's a problem with scientific literacy among the general population. Okay, we have a super chat from Eddie Dean for $5. It says, remember when Kent told that story about beating his kid? I wonder if it was Eric. No, I actually think it was Kent's other son, Kent Andrew, because if you go back and you watch that seminar or that sermon, the Leviathan, when he's telling that story, the camera actually zooms in on Kent Andrews' face and he looks super uncomfortable. So to me, it just seems like, I don't know if that's evidence, but it seems like the story was about Kent Andrew. But either way, it's inappropriate.
Did it happen? No. You say, well, we know what happened. No, you don't. Stop.
He was right.
He was right.
And we're filling in the details at a breathtaking pace.
Let me translate that. Darwin was, just don't know how yet. They were filling in the details. Yeah, okay.
So that was the first great inversion, the strange inversion of reasoning. And it's much abetted in recent years by what I call Alan Turing's strange inversion of reasoning. When Turing came along, computers were people. That was a job. What do you do for a living? I'm a computer. And these were human beings. Typically, they were math majors. And they were hired to compute various functions.
Right. You had to have people with a brain to do these kind of things, right?
Stop in the name of Hovind before you break my Kent. Hovind.
And now we got a machine to do it. Did the machine make itself? Or did some smart people make that machine?
Stop. Hovind time. No, the computer didn't make itself, Kent, obviously. And evolution doesn't say that something made itself. How does something even make itself? That implies that it existed before it existed and it made itself. That doesn't make any sense. Something can't make itself if it doesn't exist, except your God, I guess.
Tables, logarithms, celestial navigation tables, and so forth. What Turing realized was you didn't have to be intelligent. You didn't have to comprehend. You could make a device which did all the things that the human computers were doing.
Nobody intelligent made the device.
It's not what he said.
One screw in the computer had to have a designer. a simple screw to hold the case together. Every single piece was designed. How many things have to be right on a computer to make it work? A whole bunch. How many things can go wrong and make it not work? Any one of thousands of things, right?
Especially when you build your own computer. Jesus Christ, that's difficult.
One mistake in one line of code. Come on, Daniel. You've got to be smarter than that. You really think nobody designed humans? Nobody designed computers?
He obviously didn't say that, Kent. Why do you have to misrepresent everything that is said to you?
Nobody designed this world?
With all the intelligence and all the understanding laundered out of it, except for the most minimal sort of mechanical quasi-understanding, all it had to do was to be able to tell a 0 from a 1 or a hole in a punch tape from no hole in a punch tape.
All it tells is zeros and ones. Daniel, do you understand how computer codes work? See, boys and girls, this is nothing right here except ink on a piece of paper. No. It's arranged to produce words and a code and give a meaning. It's not just zeros and ones. It's zeros and ones by the billions in a particular order.
That's the same thing, Kent. All a computer really does at the base level is tell if a transistor is on or off. They're logic gates. So it is just zeros and ones. It doesn't matter how many of them there are, what the sequence is. What you said is exactly the same thing. Oh, it's not just zeros and ones. It's lots of zeros and ones in a specific order. What's the difference between those two things? It's irrelevant. You're just saying this because you have to be a contrarian and disagree with him somehow. Okay, we have a super chat from Whiskey RPG for $2. It says, finally got to catch a stream live. Always awesome. Well, I tried to do this one a little bit later in the day for some of you people in different time zones. So you're welcome.
And you just want to brush this off as, it's just a bunch of zeros and ones. Of course it could evolve. How on earth did you live so long and be that dumb?
What?
A very simple discriminator, put it together with the right universal Turing machine, which can compute anything computable. And that was the birth of the computer. And the two strange inversions fit together beautifully. What they show, and this is still strange to people, is what I call competence without comprehension. We tend to think that the reason we send our children to university is so that they can acquire comprehension, which we view as the source of competence.
We send our kids to universities these days with professors like you to dumb them down to believe they came from a rock. Shame on you.
It's out of that web of comprehension that they acquire the competences they do. And we look down our noses at rote learning and drill and practice because that's just competence. We want comprehension. And what Turing and Darwin in very similar ways showed is, no, that's just backwards. Comprehension is an effect of multiple competences, not itself a source, an independent source of competence. So that's the second strain of inversion. If we want to look at human minds, we have to add another source of evolutionary power.
You have to add a whole bunch of imagination. You really honestly believe, Daniel, the human mind was not designed? The human mind is way more complicated than any computer ever built by man.
That doesn't imply that it was designed, even if that's true, even if I grant you that. That doesn't mean that it was designed, and it doesn't prove it was designed by any god, specifically your God. So your claim is no more valid than you think his is. And the argument from incredulity, once again, is not a valid argument. Just because you're incredulous that he's saying this, it's nothing. It doesn't prove anything.
One cell in your body has 100 trillion atoms.
Specifically your penis.
And the average person has 100 trillion cells. Each
100 trillion Hovinds. Can you imagine that? All talking at the same time.
100 trillion. Each cell in your body, 100 trillion atoms. Nobody designed it to function like that.
No.
It came by evolutionary power. First of all, how do you believe this? And why would you teach that to anybody?
Because there's evidence, Kent.
And that's cultural evolution. We don't get all our intelligence from our genes. In fact, relatively little, all things considered. And here's where Turing's ideas really come in handy, because if you take Richard Dawkins' idea of the meme as a unit of cultural evolution, and you take Turing's idea about a programmable computer, and you put them together, you get the idea of a meme as a thing made of information.
So not only does this machine produce information, somebody with a brain has to be able to read and understand the information. Doesn't do any good if the computer can spit out all kinds of data, but nobody can read it. And this, I honestly don't understand how any of you guys can be an atheist or an evolutionist. Do you not even know how to think for yourself? I would be willing to bet $5 this piece of plastic was designed to go on this pen.
But that same cap would fit on lots of pens. So maybe you'd lose that bet. But we already know that somebody designed that pen, because we've seen people design pens, and we know of the company that did it. We can go to the factory and observe them make more. But we can't do the same thing with the universe. We can see humans being created. We can watch a woman get pregnant on the internet. And maybe some people pay for that. But that's not God designing a new human, is it? No, it's just nature continuing its course. So is that a creation event? Or Kent would probably say that's God, that's God's touch when a lady gets fingered. That's Hovind.
Wow. This is not designed to go on your car to drive around on, like wheels. No. Okay. This is not designed to be the engine of your car. This is designed for a particular purpose.
I could melt that plastic down and make it into a wheel for my Hot Wheels car.
You guys cannot see design anywhere, can you? I don't know if I can help. I'm going to try to help some of the people dumb enough to listen to you guys. Go ahead.
Obviously, we can see design, but you can't differentiate that pen cap from the air molecules that surround it, because you claim that those same molecules are designed, but there's no indication of that. So how do you differentiate one thing that's designed by humans from something that's designed by God?
It's like an app which you download to your desktop.
Yeah, simple. Just download.
And it's a brain filled with apps is a mind, is a human mind. And if you don't download all the apps, you're not going to be able to think very well.
You didn't download them all, did you, Daniel? I'm sorry. You really honestly believe this junk that we're all evolved and nobody made the human mind? So you got a couple apps you missed, okay? Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland. I'll show them to you. I'll help you get them in your head.
Can you even explain to me what an app is, Ken? I doubt it.
Okay.
And that's why no creature on the planet, however intelligent they are in some regards, they can't hold a candle to us, because they can't download the apps of culture, because they don't have a language. And
I think every animal has a language, Daniel, don't they?
And yet you say that the male whale can't tell the female whale, so scoot over, honey. Yeah, animals can communicate with each other. That doesn't mean they have a language. That's not really the same thing, is it, Ken?
Don't they communicate with each other somehow? I mean, they don't have a language. Okay.
it's language, which is itself composed of memes. Words are memes. It's language that is the backbone of cultural evolution. And what it permits is for cultural evolution to become ever less Darwinian, ever more intelligent.
So the evolution becomes evolving. Yeah.
And now we're living in the age of intelligent design. We have scientists and engineers and artists and musicians and composers, all these wonderful
The age of intelligent design? Nobody designed the designer, though, did they?
designers of wonderful
That's what you think, Kent. Nobody designed God because he just is. He just jizz.
things,
He just jizzed.
poems, bridges, airplanes, theories. And they are intelligent designers But if you want to know how they managed to have that intelligence, you have to go back and look at their brains as ultimately like Turing machines.
So the human brain is nothing but a machine spitting out data. Hey, does the computer understand what it is saying? When I type something into my computer, does the computer care or know or understand what I'm... No, it doesn't know. It's a machine.
There's a difference between it comprehending the information that's being input, because it kind of has to, and it caring. What does that even mean? Of course, a computer can't care about something. It's incapable of caring. I have no emotions. I have no Hovind.
The brain is way more than a machine. It's designed.
Why? Why was I programmed to feel pain? Simpsons reference.
Can you imagine sitting under this guy for a semester having to learn this stuff?
Can you imagine sitting in a church classroom with Kent Hovind and having to learn stuff from him?
This is only 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Oh, brother.
I got my wife pregnant in that time.
They're composed of actually trillions of moving parts that are all just as stupid as posts.
I agree. All the parts of an engine, none of the parts of an engine can run. They have to all work together. Pretty amazing, isn't it? You got all the pistons but no connecting rods. Oh, well, now what? Get all the pistons and rods and no fuel line. Yeah, no gasoline.
A car can run without gas in it. It can still turn on. Not indefinitely, but it can still run on fumes.
I feel sorry for you. I really do, Daniel, and I want to help. You call 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3. I'll be glad to talk to you, and I won't tell anybody unless you tell me I can. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland. You're getting close to the time where you're going to have to go talk to this God you don't believe in. I would suggest you get ready for that appointment.
Hope you die soon. Hovind, Jesus, meet Jesus.
They don't understand a thing. They don't have to understand a thing. You put them together in the right way and you get comprehension and eventually consciousness.
I feel bad that you believe such a thing. No. I'll try to help.
You're not trying to help anybody, Kent. You're just trying to make fun of people who have different beliefs than you and appeal to people who believe the same as you because it benefits you financially.
Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them. For God has showed it unto them. You know full well, you did know at one time there's a God. You might have convinced yourself for maybe a paycheck that there's no God.
So which is it? Do I know that there's a God, or did I convince myself that there's no God for a paycheck?
You'll find out. God showed it. The invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so they are without excuse.
Yeah, an engine doesn't need gasoline to run because electric cars exist. Diesel cars exist.
No excuse, Daniel. There would be no excuse for somebody to say, nobody designed this piece of plastic here. Nobody. Anybody think you're a fool?
That's obviously a category error, Kent.
It's designed to go on the pen cap. I think you'd be a fool to not believe somebody intelligent designed that. Now, the piece of plastic is not intelligent, but the guy who put it together correctly is. You're going to be without excuse, Daniel. I'm here to help. I'm the best friend you got, and you don't even know it. When they knew God, they glorified him not as God. Put your name in there, Daniel, Romans chapter 1. Neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. That's you, Daniel.
Oh.
There's simply no polite way to tell people they've dedicated their lives to an illusion. Daniel, I'll debate you and any other evolutionist you wish on your team anytime. You go first. Give me the best evidence for evolution.
I'll debate you, bro, is not a counter-argument, Kent.
I am telling you, as politely as I know how, you have devoted your life to an illusion. Charlie Darwin said, often a cold shudder has run through me as I asked myself whether I may have not devoted myself to a fantasy.
And then in the next sentence and the next page, he details how he realized that that was not true and that it was not a fantasy.
You did, Charlie. You devoted yourself to a complete fantasy. Evolution is baloney. It didn't happen. Doesn't happen. There's simply no way to tell a person they've dedicated their life to an illusion. Daniel?
Kent, you say that microevolution still happens. That it happens. That's evolution.
You've devoted your life to a fantasy. Sorry. Give me a call, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland. I'll debate you on any channel, anywhere. Bring it on, anytime. Okay, any questions or comments?
Any channel, really. Oh, I'd like to see that. Okay, well, I guess a bit of a shorter stream this time, but we have 100 live viewers. So thank you so much to the people who are hanging out in the live chat and watching this stream. Leave a like on the video. Tell me what you thought of the stream. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to all the people who watch my channel, because I couldn't have, reached this milestone of 1 million total views without you guys. And a big thank you to the people who joined my channel memberships, especially last stream. We had several people join, and to the people on my Patreon. And you can go to patreon.com/atheistjunior and consider pledging as little as $1 a month, and you get access to all the benefits there. So thank you guys so much, and I'll just see you guys in the next video.